Good morning, everybody. Make sure that you're following us, dtitrader.com/Telegram, and of course, dtitrader.com/YouTube, where we're joined by our YouTube group this morning. Welcome in, everybody. Great to see everybody here today. Before I welcome in Tom, I'm going to go ahead and take care of a little bit of house cleaning here. Got a little bit of a risk disclaimer. There is a very high degree of risk involved in trading. Now, you can read the rest of that on the screen. What I will say is you and you alone are responsible for every trading decision you make and every trading decision you don't make. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Let's go ahead and hit our big news topics for this week. We got a couple things going on. Number one, there's a possible government shutdown. There is a vote being held, or actually is capable of being held right now. This is the earliest the Senate could vote. They're going to try and push a new bill. If that goes through without a hitch, which it looks like it possibly could, we're still going to see a government shutdown that lasts until February 2nd when the House is able to vote on this new bill that the Senate is putting forth. So, in all likelihood, there will be a government shutdown. Now, there is a deal in place from the House back from January 22nd that is likely to be overridden by this Senate vote today, which means the House will need to vote again. So odds are it's going to be a short government shutdown, if at all, but looking like there will be a very short one. We'll see what the House does on Monday, which makes next week in the open of February very big. Now, Tom's going to talk about Kevin Warsh a little bit later in this presentation. He is Trump's pick for the FOMC. Here's something you might not know about him. He actually served on the board about 20 years ago, was nominated at 35 years old, the youngest person to ever sit in that seat at the time. I'm not sure if we've had anyone younger than that since then. So he has experience doing this. Now, he served on an unexpired term and didn't complete the 14 years, so he still has eligibility. That's the important part. And there are a lot of hoops and hurdles that need to be jumped through to get him in place, but we'll get to that later. Now, today is the last day of January. It's the end of the month. Here are the important numbers you need to know. The E-mini S&P futures opened at 6902. They're currently trading above that level. So it looks like we're moving towards a positive month if we can hang on to it. NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, same situation. This month of January has been positive. And basically, the market's just sitting back going, okay, don't do anything crazy, and we'll have this in hand. That's where we're at. That's how this looks. Now, if you want to look at the weekly numbers, the Dow and the Russell might be struggling a little bit, but the monthly numbers, everything looks positive for now. All right, so let's get into our next slide. And Tom, this is where we ask you your opinion of this market.
It helped if I unmuted myself. But first of all, Chuck made a key point about the fact that the market is above the monthly open. Chuck, where did the Dow open, the cash Dow open for a month, and how much room do we have there? The cash Dow.
Cash Dow, I got to be honest with you, I don't have that number
Well,
right at my
just do
fingertips, but I can grab
do
it.
the Dow futures.
All right, Dow futures, if you go back one slide, you'll see that monthly open in the Dow futures. It was 48,373. As far,
48,373. And
hmm
where do you have it trading right now?
I've got the Dow right now at 48,898. So about 600 points higher.
Yeah, so we should be good, like you said, unless there's a major disaster between now and the close. Not saying there won't be, but in case there is, it should be good. And but generally speaking, the market's traded to the positive side most of January, so that's good. But anyway, I think that we're sitting here, and I want to talk a little bit about silver, but let's first talk about Kevin Walsh. You got that slide? All right.
Yeah, I sure do. It's just a little bit. There it is. There you go.
Yeah. Kevin Warsh is probably a good pick because it's one thing to nominate somebody, but to get them through the House or get them through the Senate, because the Senate has to has to affirm the appointment, and it's probably pretty good. So I would expect a balanced answer from Kevin Wash on all the key questions. What do you think about interest rates? What do you think about government debt? He will play middle of the road because he's got to get affirmed. But once he's affirmed, this guy is going to come in and reorganize the Fed. That's his big thing. He thinks the Fed is a bunch of uh, pencil pushing economic professors not living in the real world. And that's his real thinking. And I think that's good because I think the majority of people that watch the Fed understand that they've got way too many PhDs over there to figure out whether they ought to be uh, lowering interest rates or what unemployment's doing and all that. I think he's going to bring it into the modern age. I think it's going to be a real positive, honestly. I think he was a good pick. And I think the longer he's there, I think the economy will do pretty good. And I'm really encouraged by the fact he was the pick because I do think that he will fill a lot of squares for a lot of people. Now, a little background: he's had a lot of varied experience throughout his career. Youngest guy ever, I guess, appointed to the board, and I think he was pretty good there. I will tell you one thing sort of interesting to me. He's married to a billionaire. Well, how do you get to be a billionaire? I guess be the daughter of Estee Lauder, and so he's married to her, and that's pretty interesting, from that standpoint. But the guy has obviously been pretty good about walking down that middle, staying involved the way he has over the years. So I think it'd be good. I'm going in with a positive attitude about him, and we'll just see how it works out. I do think interest rates, though, might be accelerated under him as we get towards the time he's got control. Again, Jerome Powell, who I didn't think much at, will be out as far as May comes, but you'll see a lot of movement behind the scenes. I don't know if you ever sat on a board or anything. Whoever's got the main seat is really who everybody sort of listens to, and he will be taking that over. So let's be open-minded, and we'll judge him as he does. And we're always subject to changing our mind if we don't like what we see. But the Fed's a key part of our economy with what they do as far as they affect things and the decisions they make. Greenspan pulled a magic act. I thought he was the worst Fed chairman in history. That's my opinion because I lived with him when he was appointed, and he was changing interest rates about every 4 days. Hey, let's go up, let's go down. He was just erratic as heck. In fact, they don't say this in the history books. I would say it if I wrote it. I think he was a contributing factor to the crash of '87. That's another story. Let's be positive about Kevin Wash and see where it takes us. That's the thing that we got to do. I think that's really good, and also keeps Besson as the Secretary of Treasury, which is positive, and Kevin Hassett's in the administration, which is positive. And this guy is a growth guy and understands growth, and I think that's good. So let's give him a chance and see what he does. Now, let's go to the 3-day algo, John. You take that over and go through that if you will.
Okay. Yeah, let me just get that updated real quick once again. Updated it this morning. Moving the slides around a little bit this morning, folks. It's on slide number 8 now. And I do need to update it. Here we go. NASDAQ was still above the 3-day high when I looked at this earlier. Down just a few points on the S&P and NASDAQ since the last time I posted it, but of course, today's last day of the month. The month open, the S&P is 69.02. So as things stand right now, it looks like the S&P will finish a positive month. And as we mentioned early in the month, it's got a remarkable track record. If the S&P can open above the 3-day high, it tends to end the month positive. And this month is a good reminder and learn. We mentioned this earlier, but it's a good reminder and learning lesson for folks that might be new to the 3-day algo. Not every month is just going to shoot higher, right? Not every month's going to shoot higher or lower for that matter. But when the S&P opens above the 3-day high, odds are it'll finish the month positive. Now that might be 5-10 points positive, or it might be 300 points positive. The purpose of saying all this is to tell you where the higher odds trades are throughout the month. How you're form your thinking for the month, long or short. There's obviously still a risk involved in trading, but that's what this spreadsheet is for. Any questions on that? We got the Dow, a little weak. We got NASDAQ still looking good. Crude oil, gold and silver. Look at gold and silver. Gold's at 50.54, which had obviously a big down move. Look how much room it has before the 3-day high. It's just been an incredible month altogether in gold and silver, even with this downturn we're seeing here to end the week in the month. Silver, even more room. It's at 96.95. Silver futures 3-day high was at 81.50. Let me share the spreadsheet with everybody. It is on the slide deck. I'll share the slides, Don, in just a moment when I go back to them. As we scroll down the list here, Bitcoin is on the February contract now. Gold's on April. Make note of that. There's QQQ matching the NASDAQ. Financials have been weak, on the weaker side. Here's all your, there's biotech, but then all your gold and silver. Apple's still short. We spoke about Apple this morning, Tom, in earnings. Google and Meta. Spoke about Meta this morning earnings. Same for Microsoft. AMD and Micro have been long all month long. I got you, Don. I see you. Walmart still long. GM back to being long. I remember it took a breather if I recall correctly. Looking good again. But this is the last day of the month. Next month, probably at first, the stocks will remain the same. The spreadsheet will remain the same, same link that is. So you can click, once you get the spreadsheet on your web browser, if you click this little star up there at the top, it'll save it for you. What I'll do is I'll click File and make a copy. So I have a copy of the January spreadsheet, and you can do that too. You can click File and make a copy to your own Google Drive. So you have your own kind of static copy of it, and you can edit it however you like at that point. But the link for, the one that we share every day in here is not going to change. All the data will just change on the same spreadsheet link, if I'm making sense. So let me know if you have any questions on all this. We're about to go back to the slide presentation for today. All right, and Don, here comes the slide link there. So you got the spreadsheet link, a little bit of ways up a ways, and then slides just here. Tom, we wanted to talk about expiration risk today.
Yeah, I did. There's a lot of worry about expiration risk, but you got to remember, you already pretty much took care of it when you bought a put, when you made a spread, rather than being outright short or outright long. So you've got to define risk trade. And what you need to know is if you get into money on the day a ticker expires, then you do have some concern, depending on how the size of your account. But the highly active options, the importance of being in the money and at the money. Does everybody know what in the money means? Okay. So if you're in the money, you are subject to being exercised, especially on the day up. The way brokerage firms operate in general, their general rule is by 2 o'clock, if you're not out of those and it's close, they'll take you out, and you don't want that to happen. So you really need to step aside uh, when you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, okay? Because it is a big cookie jar and it's awful sweet when it works. But what you want to do is clearly exit those trades that expire on that day. And I think that that's just something to keep in mind. Every broker is different. It depends on who you're using. Uh, and I think that you just got to be aware of that. I would say by the first hour of the next morning, if you have no what I would call uh, encouragement is still going against you, you probably ought to exit and move on because you spend your time more productive getting out, if that makes any sense. Okay. So that's the way you got to handle expiration. Okay. So as long as there's premium, in the option, it doesn't make a lot of sense to have it exercised against you. After saying that, it has happened in the past. I don't like to be in options that are in the money if there's no hope of recovery. And that's a decision every trader's got to make. But I'll just tell you that as a general rule, you're okay as long as you got some time to expiration. And that's just a way to think about it. And if you trade options long enough, you will be assigned. And that's the example, the rare example there when it's deep in the money, no premium on the option. Okay. That's the story. And think about this. If you have a put that you're long and they put the stock to you, you really got a married put that protects you as a defined risk trade if you want to hold it. I just wanted to cover it because a lot of people get all anxious about the notes of brokers. And you got to understand one thing. The brokers will never take risks with you, meaning they're going to make you either put up more money or make you exit when these suckers get money. Okay. So that's great. Any questions about that? I want to cover it and just, make sure. Let's go to a live example. Jonathan, you cover this if you will. You wrote it.
Yeah, you wanted me to look at a live example of what it means by having no premium. So let me just circle here the at the money 691 call I just got the SPY up here. So the SPY is trading at 690.40. If we could just kind of pause time, which we can't, but if we could pause time here at just say 690 and a half on the SPY, this 691 call is all extrinsic value. None of the value from the 691 call is in the money, right? Best way for me to say that. If we go down a leg to the 690, well, it's got a premium of $1.85 and the SPY is at 690 and a half or so. So about 50 cents of the premium in the 690 call is in the money. That's real value. It all depends on where the price of the underlying is. As we step down the list here, if I just go to the 685, well, let's bring up a calculator so you can kind of see this a little bit more clearly, hopefully. 685 plus the premium of the option is plus 570. That brings you up to a price of 690.70. So there's only about 20, 30 cents, depending on where you're looking at the prices and what the price of the option is. But we're assuming a current price of 690.50. 690.50. There's only 20 cents of extra premium in their extrinsic value. If we go down to the 680, let's do that on that. Do the process on that one. 680 plus 10.75. 690.75 with the price at 690.70 now, there's only 5 cents of premium, extrinsic value. So the point is that as you get deeper and deeper into the money, and if you were short that call option, you would be, greater and greater odds of, being subject to assignment. And there was a question here in the chat, can you be assigned on a long option? You absolutely can be assigned on a long option. if you have the funds to do so in your account and it expires in the money, they can give you the shares. If you're long a call, they can give you the shares for that. Absolutely can do that. So, any questions on what we just showed here in terms of the premium built into the option, extrinsic versus intrinsic value of the option? There's a great website to learn more about options if you need to learn more, called optionsplaybook.com, completely free. Go check that website out. It's a great book. They have a book as well you can buy. Great resource. All right, Tom, let's see. On the put side, it just works the opposite there. If you were short a put, if you were short the 690 put, so we'll do the process again on the put side. If you were short the 690 put, current price is 690, 30, or 40, right? That's all extrinsic value. If you were short the 691 put, though, you got 50 cents of extrinsic value with the price at 690 and a half. 50 cents of the $1.85 or so. And as you go further down the list here, the 695 has $4.70 of premium. What you would do is, you're curious about the math, minus 470, that gets you down to 690.30, so which is right around the current price. Subtract the current price from this math right here, you get your extrinsic versus intrinsic value. So it works the same way, just kind of reverse the logic there in terms of whether you have a greater risk of assignment or not. So Tom just typed in yes into the chat. Tom, I'm not really sure what you're typing in yes for, but you're welcome to.
Yeah, I'm not going to make any decisions on any of the silver wheel till 1 o'clock this afternoon, because the ones we have is for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So that's what I'm going to do.
Right.
Write Debbie's number down for me. I'll call her.
Will do.
Well, what did I say this morning when I woke up? Let's just see what I was thinking when I woke up. Let's go there. Notice I say the day starts with a a broad market. Look at the Seven Sisters and a few key stocks, right? Okay. Pretty red, isn't it? So when it's red like that, you have to.
How's everyone doing? Would you like me to get someone down here to take your lunch order?
Yeah, so what Tom was saying is every morning he paints, the market will paint a picture for us, and that's why he posts this into the TNT room. We're looking at a typical day in Tom's T-Buzz Talk and Trade program, which is just, Telegram text and trade service, or I guess I should say Telegram and trade service. All right, another question about the silver wheel. Tom just mentioned wait until 1 p.m. Eastern time when we'll meet, of course, live and talk you through any actions we might need to make.
Well, Jonathan, just taking a look at how broad this market is, we see all that negative, but you also have to take into context the monthly performance, and a lot of these markets are doing very well for the month, and so it's an interesting picture right now.
Yeah, it sure is. Hey, Tom, looks like. All right, good deal.
I'm back. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh, good. So we got the first snippet, get a big picture look at what's going on the current day, and then the next posting is your Magic 5.
Yeah, and this is interesting because even with the market, really a little crazy, I picked MU today. I haven't checked it, but I know I bought it after I picked it, sold it in the pre-market. Where's it at now, John? I hadn't checked it since I've been going here.
The stock is at 437.5 or so.
437.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I bought it in the pre-market this morning at 5. It was above the breakout number, so I bought it. This is a very volatile stock, and so where did it open at this morning?
RB3 open was 446.
Yeah, see, it's below the pivot by 9:30. So there you go. You wouldn't take that trade, okay? And I gave you the number on SLV. If it gets higher than that, we got to turn bullish. That's the number. Doesn't look like there's much chance of that today, but that was my number at 5 this morning. Okay. Daily pivot 69.57. Jonathan, where is the S&P right now?
RB3 open was 66 and current price is 60. So it's hanging on, trying to
hang on. There you go. And this was the news this morning. Notice Micron was really been in there, and then they were talking about gold and silver, but midday sell-off may indicate near-term peak. I guess that's sort of old because the sell-off came last night. It rallied to 118 on silver futures last night about 10 o'clock. So you're fat, dumb, and happy when you went to bed. And you wake up to a 15 to 20% drop, which is not unusual. But the big picture, Jonathan, what was the low of the 3-day low for January for silver? Do you have that number? Why don't you give it to them? That would concern me if I saw it go below that.
For silver futures 70.5, and for SLV 64.75. 64.
Yeah, it's very bullish. Okay. And then I finished it up. I think it's a huge opportunity, but notice, and folks that are new to me, if you ever see me use the word patience will pay, I'm basically going to watch the market and let it box themselves in, and then I will attack. People's been with me for years, love it when I say this. They know big profits are coming or right around the corner. You got to be patient though and let the market set up. Right now with the sudden drop off, you have to be patient. That's what I was trying to emphasize this morning. I talked about Fed Chair Wash perceived as hawkish by the crowd. That's good for us because I don't think he is. Okay. And I think we'll see lower interest rates after this guy gets in and restructures. Excited to be here, and we will figure out where the money is by watching it the first half of the day. Okay. That was my thoughts this morning. I still got those thoughts down. This is very important if you are under what I would call the DTI method. Notice that RB1 69.92, RB2 69.22, RB3 69.66. Following these numbers will give you a connect the dots approach to whether it be long or short. Just got to take your time and wait for it. I think afternoon's going to be good after Genesis. Let's keep going. Yeah, in TNT, I post my video first in there this morning, and Jonathan, see what I said.
Yeah, sure.
Can you
Hang
play
on a second. I can. Yeah, let me go to the actual Telegram posting though, real quick.
All right, folks. First, pivot number. Pivot number is very important today. 69.57. Had an announcement of the Fed chair. Market seems to take it a little bearish, but that's okay because he's been appointed. Now he's got to get affirmed. Once he's affirmed, I look for interest rates to fall. That's my thinking. We'll see how it works out. Gold and silver had
what I would call a huge air pocket last night, dropping about 5% for gold, about 12, 13% for silver. That is normal in a market like this. And I told you that. That's why you use, protective action. That's why you diversify. You do a lot of things to play this game. I'm looking forward to the opening. There's a big opportunity for us. Hope you're there to take advantage of it. I'll get with Jonathan, and today at Train and Trade, we'll have a lot to talk about, okay? A lot to talk about. So, pivot number again, 6957. Y'all have a great day. I look forward to seeing you at 11 o'clock. As I always say, see you on the flip side.
Nothing's changed since this morning. That little video there sort of gives you a lot of key information. It gives you the pivot number, where I'm thinking about being long. It gives you my thoughts on the general market, and basically tells you, if you listen to me long enough, you sort of, if I was playing poker, you'd take all my money because I tell you exactly what I'm thinking. Okay. And so learn to listen and don't miss the T-Buzz TV. Okay. Chuck or Jonathan covered that for. This is very valuable to you.
Hey, Chuck, you put this together for us. You want to say a few words? This is the daily rundown, though.
Yeah, sure. Basically, just looking to highlight some of the biggest things. The Magic Five is in that section, the red section. That's from the Telegram channel TNT. Talking about 6902 is the big number. This is a market that's all about staying above that. We've got the opens over in the bottom here, a little chart of the S&P showing the Genesis bar from yesterday, 69.40.50 the high. We've spent just about all day today, at least since the RB3 open, above that Genesis bar range. So that kind of gives you a sense of what type of a market we're looking at. We had core PPI news come out this morning. Not too much of an impact to the market. We were already moving at that time. And then, what we're looking forward to next week, the first week of February, the employment situation report coming up a week from today, kind of a big deal. And then you can go into that top section on T-Buzz TV today. Tom's pivot number 6957, plus today's presentations that we're looking at. We got a silver reel coming up in a bit, live trading after that, and then the market review section just highlighting that 6902, and of course probably one of the biggest news items coming out today is that Kevin Warsh has been tapped by President Trump to be the next head of the FOMC. Still got to go jump through all the hoops, but that's the man everybody's looking at.
All right, let's answer some. This is our trade ticket we developed for TNT. That's what you see when we got a trade in there, and we follow it through and we post what we've done. TNT is so valuable. I think people tell me that I meet face-to-face. Tom, I'm glad you do it. It's a 24-hour look at the market. You can join dtitrader.com/TNT. It's $200 a month. You can cancel any time. And if you got any questions about that, call 904-706-3532. Before we go to a recording, let me answer anybody's questions. I got to get ready for the 1 o'clock silver wheel that won. That's going to be an interesting day. And if anybody's got any questions, if you've got options expiring today, I'd get out of those options, and we'll start anew at 1 o'clock. If you have anything expiring today, that's my opinion. Okay, I don't see any questions. Do y'all see any questions?
Not yet, Tom, unless anybody's just typing. We probably got various speeds of typists in the room for sure.
JP wants to know, when's the free fall going to stop? JP, I can honestly tell you, after 40 years of trading, Just gotta let the numbers tell you when it stops. Just have to do it. All right, Jonathan.
All right, thank you, Tom. I'll see you at 1 o'clock. Let me cue up this video
Member of my team.
for TNT.